the frontmen for AI deployment have all fomented fear into the mainstream narrative.
I think if this technology goes wrong, it can go quite wrong.
Regulations are really only put into effect after something terrible has happened.
That's correct.
If that's the case for AI, and we're only putting regulations after something terrible has happened, it may be too late to actually put the regulations in place. The AI may be in control at that point.
You think that's real? It is conceivable that AI could take control and reach a point where you couldn't turn it off and it would be making the decisions for people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely.
No, that's definitely where things are headed, for sure.
Former Google CEO Eric Schmidt says that every government is now engaged in a race to build robotic AI military systems.
For thousands of years, we've had the notion of stereotypically a man and a gun fighting another man and a gun, or with a horse, or what have you. We're now breaking that connection forever. So all of a sudden, the logic of everything that we in our military do just doesn't make any sense, right? You should be building attritable, automated robotic systems for defense and offense.
This is what Palantir is developing in the Middle East, a robotic AI human killing machine. And it is what President Trump is developing in the United States with Peter Thiel, a name with a fitting anagram for MAGA's technocratic poster child, the reptile. Peter Thiel shows no sympathy for the genocidal murder he is helping execute with Palantir, and he believes the future is transhumanism.
A number of people deeply involved in artificial intelligence see it as a kind of mechanism for transhumanism, for transcendence of our mortal flesh. Is it hype? Is it delusion? Is it something you worry about? I think you would prefer the human race to endure, right? You're hesitating.
Yeah, well,
yes?
I don't know. I would.
This is a long hesitation. This is a long hesitation.
There's so many questions implicit in this.
Should the human race survive?
Yes.
Okay.
But the ideal was this radical transformation where your human natural body gets transformed into an immortal body. A transvestite is someone who changes their clothes and cross-dresses. And a transsexual is someone where you change your penis into a vagina. And we can then debate how well those surgeries work. But we want more transformation than that. The critique is not that it's weird and unnatural. It's so pathetically little. And okay, we want more than cross-dressing or changing your sex organs. We want you to be able to change your heart and change your mind and change your whole body.
Science fiction author Isaac Asimov wrote The 3 Laws of Robotics in 1942. All of which were based on doing no harm to humans, and all of which have already been broken. While the U.S. president pushes a 10-year moratorium on any AI regulation, the experts push fear, and Peter Thiel explains why.
You have been giving talks recently about the concept of the Antichrist. What does that mean to you? What is the Antichrist?
In all these Antichrist books, people wrote, how does the Antichrist take over the world? He gives these demonic, hypnotic speeches, and people just fall for it. And so it's this plot hole. The way the Antichrist would take over the world is you talk about Armageddon nonstop. You talk about existential risk nonstop, and this is what you need to regulate.
You're saying the real Antichrist would play on that fear and say, you must come with me to avoid Skynet, to avoid the Terminator, to avoid nuclear Armageddon.
Yes.
It just seems to me that when you tell me a story about the Antichrist coming to power and using the fear of technological change to sort of impose order on the world, I feel like that Antichrist would maybe be using the tools that you were building, right? Like, wouldn't the Antichrist be like, great, we're not going to have any more technological progress, but I really like what Palantir has done. How you get to a world willing to submit to permanent authoritarian rule.
Well, but again, there are these different gradations of this we can describe. But
Greg Reese reporting.
All praise to the Most High, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai, by Hashem, Rachak Badash, and double honor to our apostles, elders, and bishops here at Great Millstone for teaching this truth that's going on around the earth. Shalom to the hope of the elect out there. It's your brother Atazabwan. We're going to jump right into this lesson. And that short 5-minute clip we have in the front where you see essentially, to just get to the point of it, you see the devils being devils, okay? Esau, Edom, right? They're technocrats, they're billionaires, trillionaires, because I believe Elon Musk is a trillionaire now, okay? Talking about this world that they are creating, right? This world of transhumanism, all right, where all these different AI components are going to come together and basically take over the world. And the fact of the matter is as it said in that short clip of the interview with he and Tucker Carlson, that something could go terribly wrong, And so basically they don't need making no rules for what could go wrong because you've already invented it, you see? And there's a potential for AI to take over or be let's say it this way, be out of control, somewhat out of control, right? Where you can't shut it off or stop it. All right, so the whole point is these devils are being devils, right? Esau, Edom, so-called white man, chiefly the tribe of Amalek, okay, who are the devils of the earth, the accusers of the brethren, all right, the ones who act the part of Satan. And you heard them talk about in it other piece, part of the piece, about an antichrist, right? And here's the thing, you got a lot of people who think that there's one particular man or person like that's going to be the antichrist of the whole world, which is not the case, all right? The scriptures don't say that, but it is talking about a certain man, a lineage, a house of a man, right, that will be the wicked of the earth, right? And that's who's in this interview, right? All of them, okay? All of them put together. They're this house of a man, right, who plays the part of the devil or Satan on the earth, okay? Because of Hollywood and all its goofy-ass movies, they depict that it'd be one person that's going to take total control, in which the scriptures don't support that, all right? So we'll get a few scriptures here to point out exactly who the devil is of the earth, all right? So quickly, let's just go over to John. 1 John 2:18, it says, little children, it is the last time, right? Going into the part of what? The last days. And as ye have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists, right? So it's not just one person, but it is those who are opposed to the Most High and his plan, okay? In which that comes from the wicked, all right? Whereby we know that it is the last time, just to finish the scripture out. So you know that it is more than just one person, right? It is those that oppose the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, okay? You have Antichrist of our own nation people, right? So just like Yahweh Shai had told them in the scriptures, ye are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father ye will do. You see, so we even had our own wicked, right, who was against the Most High and the prophecies of the Most High, you see. But on this side also you have those of Esau, Edom, who were given the wisdom of the left-hand side to develop all these different things, these different so-called technologies, you see. Because Jake Jake can invent and develop things, but, to a point of the way Esau, Edom has done it, with the destruction of the world, so to speak, they're at the top of their game when it comes to that, okay? So now let's go over here and look at this transhumanism, right? Because that's what they were getting into. And so we can simply look it up. And here you see it right here, Salakia. And I don't know why that won't highlight right. But anyway, it says transhumanism is a philosophical and scientific movement that advocates for using advanced technology to fundamentally enhance the human condition. It aims to overcome biological, let's see if we can highlight this part, biological limitations like disease, aging, and mortality through tools like genetic engineering, artificial intelligence, because that's what they're talking about, right? AI, and cybernetics. So, in short, it's their ability to play the Most High. That's what it is. All right, to change people's genders, to change their minds, to make you live longer, so on and so forth. Right, because that's what the Most High does. He makes all the decisions as to what gender, if you will, if you want to say it that way, you are. Man, or or woman. Male or female. Them the only choices there is. Right, but these people think that they can make whatever choices that they want. Okay. So going on, it says the life extensions. It says using biotechnology and cryonics to radically slow down or reverse the aging process to achieve longevity. Cognitive enhancement. It says utilizing brain-computer interface such as Neuralink. Okay, and I know, for us brothers and sisters out there, we understand what this is. Okay, the MOTB, the CHIP. And I know that it's repetitive, but nonetheless, it's being thrown in your face. They're no longer hiding what their intentions are, all right? Because why? Because we're in the last steps of everything, right? We're in the last days of before the return of Yahweh Shai. So all of these things are going to be brought to the forefront now. They no longer hide these things or keep it in secret, okay? And there are those out there who still buck up against what the men of the Lord have been teaching, okay? And here it is, these devils are putting it right in your face, and yet and still, there are those out there who look at the brothers, right, who are teaching what the scriptures actually say, and you still buck up against it, okay? And here it is right in your face. They're telling you what they're going to do to you. All right, or what their mission is. And then it goes into physical augmentation. It says replacing or upgrading biological body parts with advanced prosthesis or prosthetics or implants to achieve superhuman strength or endurance, right? Or endurance, Salakia. You see? So they want to play the Most High. Let's read a little bit further, Salakia. It says transhumanists view humanity not as a finished product, but as an early transitional stage of evolution. The ultimate goal is to evolve into a post-human, a state where humans have transcended their biological limits entirely, potentially through technologies like mind uploading. You see? I mean, how much clearer does it have to be for all you naysayers out there, okay? For all of you who don't believe that Esau Edom is the devil of the earth that the Bible's been speaking of, that they want to control you, that they want to be the Most High, and they want to sit in the Most High seat, okay? These are the ones who oppose the will of Yahweh B'Shem Yahweh Shai, okay? It's clear. You can't make it any clearer than what it already is, okay? This is 2 John, Salakia 1:7. It says, for many deceivers, right, are entered into the world who confess not that Yahweh Shai Mashiach is come in the flesh. This is a deceiver and an antichrist, right? So let's go in here real quick and just look at the word deceivers, right? Salakia. Man, sometimes these phones, they just do whatever they want. So here it says what? An imposter, right? A misleader, deceiver, seducer, right? Or seducing, right? That's that seducing spirit, right? But it also calls it what? Let's see. Roving, right? Or trent. Now, this is an indication, right? And I'm going to get to that in a second. Here you see again, it says deceiver. Salakia. Seducing, right? Like the scripture talks about seducing spirits, right? To deceive you and get you off, all right? So when you think of that, just as a clue, as a deceiver, being as the scripture tells you, as a devil, right, which is diablos, okay, is a deceiver, and we'll get that in a second. But who do you think of? Not Satan, the spiritual demon, in that regard, in the earth, but you think you can go back as far as, and we got it right here, as Cain, being a deceiver, being a liar, being a murderer, and then being marked by the Most High. Okay, this is who their spirit goes back to. Okay, let's jump in right here, verse 9. Genesis 4:9, it says, "And the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? And he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. And now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. When thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth." Right. So when you look at a vagabond, Nawad, and it says what? To wander. Right? That's a tramp, a wanderer. See? Vagabond, way, wandering, right here at the end. Okay. Be sorry, a sorry individual, having no home, right? Just being a damn pilferer, a bum, okay, within the earth. Okay. Let's see here. In definition A here, what does it say? It says to move to and fro, wander aimlessly, take flight. Right. So when you think of the history of Esau, Edom, in the world, they have no culture, no history, other than that they are murderers and wanderers, and they went throughout the earth conquering, because what? As you go further down the line from Cain and being brought back as Esau, Edom, his blessing was the sword, right? So this is a link in that chain that shows you who the devil really is, that vagabond, right? That tramp, right? Who had the blessing of the sword. Okay. Let's see here. I think pretty much that's all I wanted to get out of that. So that's a link in, the description as to who would eventually be the devil, play the part of the wicked or the devil on the earth as a vagabond. He started out as a vagabond. Okay. Let's see here. Let's go to verse 13. "And Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And I shall come, Salakia, and it shall come to pass that every one that findeth me shall slay me. And the Lord Yahweh said unto him, Therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any find him should kill him, which would be what? Taking his pigment away. Okay? And Cain went out, verse 16, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord Yahweh and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. Okay? So it goes all the way back to that, being the first murderer. Okay? And that's all these people continuously think about. So you have even current news events, right, that are talking about how many Jakes have been lynched, found missing, or dead, right? Dealing with Esau, Edom, and their children, right? Because you had that story of this Nolan kid, right, down in Mississippi from last weekend. I believe it was last weekend. That's in the headline news, right? Because they've always been liars. They've always been murderers, right? They've always had this pomp, this pride in them. Okay. Now let's go over to, let me see here. Let's go over to Revelation 12 and 9. And we'll start here. Okay. Staying with the idea of who the Antichrist really is, right? It's a lineage of men or people, like I said, a lineage. Okay. So Revelation 12:9, it says, "And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called what? The devil." So let's look at the devil. Diablos, right? Or Diablos. Again, a false accuser, devil, slanderer. Okay? He's a liar. And so when you look at definition 2 here, right? What does it say? It says metaphor applied to a man who, by opposing the cause of the Most High, may be said to act the part of the devil or Satan, or to side with him. So it is talking about a lineage of men, or a lineage of a man, Salakia, Esau, Edom. So you go down here to where it says Satan, okay, and it says the same thing. What? An accuser, the devil. And let's see here. In definition 2, what does it say? A Satan-like man. Okay? So these men would play the part of Satan upon the earth. That's your Antichrist. That's your devil. Okay? These are the ones who in the last days that are what? They're that great dragon, the Romans. All right? As it were. Who are still in control right now. Okay? Because this was their time period given to them by the Most High. Okay? Because the Lord likes drama. All right? Verse 10, "And I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength and the kingdom of our power and the power of his Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our power day and night." Right. So, that's Esau, Edom. Okay, who plays that part, the devil, right? The Antichrist, okay? He's the accuser, he's the accuser of the brethren, right? We're the brethren. Going on to verse 11, "And they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death." Right, the elect, as it were, of Jacob. Okay. Therefore, verse 12, therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time. And that's why they're pushing as hard as they can, right? Because their time is up, right? They're at the very end of their time. That devil is the same devil, Diablos, okay, the accuser. Let's see if we can get it. You see it? Diablos. False accuser, devil, slanderer. Okay? Same thing, metaphor applied to a man. All right, you see it. So, you can't walk around, Jake can't walk around in the earth with all of these lessons put out there and all the men teaching. You can't stand there and say you didn't know, okay? Let's read verse 12 again, okay? Because they know that they have a short time, right? "Therefore rejoice ye heavens and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devil is come down unto you having great wrath, because he knoweth that he had but a short time," right? And they're running out of time. So they're trying to push this AI thing. They're trying to push that chip, brain chips, the chips to control your whole world, your whole life, right? They want to put that in you, put that in your hand, right? Or wherever. Put it in your forehead or in your head. You see? All the technology is already here. And they want to make you, they want to be God over you. Okay? So when we go to Second Thessalonians, it's what? It's repeated again to tell you who this devil is. Okay? Second Thessalonians, we'll start right there at verse 7. It says, for the mystery of iniquity doeth already work. Do I want to start there? Yeah, we can start there. Salakia. For the mystery of iniquity doeth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way, and then shall the wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. So AI, Chat GPT, MOTB, the C-HIP, right? Neuralink, all of these are their signs and their lying wonders, okay? It's not all of it in totality, but it is a big part of what they're aiming to do in these last days, okay? And to make you a cyborg. Let's go over to Isaiah chapter 14 and jump in right there, verse 5, and it reads, the Lord Yahweh hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. So it's talking about a person, right? He that ruleth the nations in anger is persecuted and none hindereth. The whole world, Salakia, the whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fellows come up against us. Hell from beneath is moved for thee, to meet thee at thy coming. It stirreth up the dead for thee, even all the chief ones of the earth. It hath raised up from their thrones all the kings of the nations. And it's not talking about a literal place, because if hell was fixed inside of the earth, how could it be moved? Okay? You know, I just have to throw that in there. Verse 10, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Right? So it's talking about physically a literal people on the planet. Thy pomp, who has pomp? Does Satan have pomp? You know, being a spiritual demon, right? Or let me say it this way, a spiritual just being of spirit, not in a physical, let's say physical body, in terms of, you know, because in the heavens, Satan is a spirit, okay? But here on earth, what he wants carried out, what the Lord gives him the mission to do, is put into these same people, okay, if you can understand. Verse 11, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows. The worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High, right? So, I mean, with Satan being a spirit, he would be, you know, he's in a spiritual form. He wouldn't have to think that he could ascend above the clouds, okay? Going on, it says, yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, right, to the sides of the pit, right, taken out of power. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms? You see? So that's what's going to happen to Esau, Edom. All right, they're going to be brought down. Right now, they're still in their pomp. They're still in their pride. And you can see them boasting ever so much in just them devils that was in this little short interview, you know, trying to be coy, trying not to, you know, give too much information. All right, the last devil that was sitting there talking about how they want to change, give you the ability to change, like they're God, like they're the Most High. right? That's what you got to look at. This is Habakkuk 2:2, and it says, "And the Lord Yahweh answered me and said, Write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it," right? Which would be the Holy Scriptures, okay? "For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end," at what point? At the end it shall speak. And so it's speaking now, the prophecies that are written by the old prophets of old, right? That were reiterated by the apostles, right? And all the converts from the book of Acts on, the Apostle Paul and Peter and James and so on, okay? But at the end it shall speak, and it's speaking loud and clear now, right? So theoretically you have to understand and know that you're at the end, okay? And not lie. It's not going to be false, because everything that the men of the Lord have been teaching over these years, starting with our head apostles and their teachers, okay, have been teaching you the truth of the Scriptures, right? And there hasn't been one prophecy that was spoken of that really that it didn't happen. So you're living in these days. You're living at this time, okay, where the prophecies are not lying, okay? Though it tarry, wait for it. Yeah, though it took a long time, right? And some of these prophecies have took a long time to get where they were fulfilled, and yet we still have a handful or so that still need to be fulfilled, but you can see it, okay? So you have to be patient, which is another topic altogether, but, being patient in the spirit, okay? Though it tarry, wait for it, because it will surely come. It will not tarry. Behold, his soul, which is lifted up, is not upright in him, but the just shall live by his faith, right? So, the spirit that's in this man, Esau, Edom, the devil of the earth, right? Satan of the earth, if you will, his soul is crooked, man. He's not right, okay? And he wants to be in the seat of the Most High. Let's go on here to verse 5. It says, Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine his philosophies, right? As it said, that transhumanism is a philosophical situation, for lack of a better way of saying it, okay? It's a thought process in their minds. How can we make humans, live longer, as if they can supersede the plan for a man's life that the Most High has already set. How many days you're going to have, okay? Going on, it says, he is a proud man, and you just saw it in that 5-minute clip. The pride of these people, okay, which lets you know that they are the wicked. They are of Esau, Edom, okay, and that they're the devil. And people, we Christians out there, you get all turned upside down, because we use that phrase or make it plain to you so that you can see it, and you get all bent out of shape over it. Well, yeah, it's a rhetorical question, but of course you would rather that people lie to you than to tell you the truth. Okay, because the lie is more comfortable for you to live in than for you to have the harsh truth. Okay, talking about you weak Christians out there. Verse 5 again, ye also because he transgresseth by wine, he's a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlarges his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people, right? And in some regard, that's what they want to do. They want everybody on the planet, right, to be controlled by them and their devices. Okay? Let's see here. I think that's about it. That's about as far as I'm going to go with this. But yeah, with that being said, now you can see that they're no longer hiding what their intentions are, what their plans are, the way they see the world to come, or this present world. So long as they're in control, okay, this is what they want to see, okay? But we know that the Lord, Yahushua, is soon to return, man, to gather his elect from the four winds of the earth, right, and destroy this man and bring him out of power, all right? But yeah, you can see who plays the part of Satan on the earth. Who is the devil of the earth? It's a so-called white man, Esau Edom. All right? Point blank. And with that, we're in the lesson right there. Lord willing, it was edifying. You got something out of it. Okay? Always remember, go back and read and study on your own. All right? Put the time in. Okay? Because eventually, really, the ministry is going to come to an end real soon. So you need to be built up in the spirit and in the word. Okay? So continue on in your studies. All right? We pray that Yahweh Hashem Yahushua, keeps the spirit on us to keep moving right along. All right? So with that, we're in a lesson right there, giving all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh Hashem Yahushua. Shalom.